Welcome back to the channel. Today we're exploring something fascinating. Medieval queens who changed history not by following the rules, but by rewriting them entirely. Before we dive in, if you enjoy deep dives into historical power dynamics, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I love seeing our global community. Here's what's interesting. History tends to remember these women in two ways, either as monsters or as footnotes. But when you look closely at what they actually accomplished, a different picture emerges. These weren't women who lost control. They were women who seized it with such precision that it made everyone uncomfortable. So let's examine 5 medieval queens whose strategies still influence how we think about power today. Isabella of France arrived in England in 1308 as a 12-year-old bride. Her husband, Edward II, was more interested in his favorites than his kingdom. But here's what most people miss. Isabella didn't immediately rebel. She watched. For 15 years, she played the role of dutiful queen, while Edward systematically alienated every powerful noble in England. He showered wealth on unpopular favorites. He ignored military threats. He treated governance like an inconvenience. Isabella took notes. In 1325, Isabella traveled to France on diplomatic business, and then she simply stayed there. No dramatic declaration, no tearful goodbye. She just didn't return. What she did next shows remarkable political intelligence. She allied with Roger Mortimer, an exiled English noble, and began building military support, not through emotional appeals, but through careful diplomacy and strategic promises. When Isabella invaded England in 1326, something extraordinary happened. Edward's support evaporated. Cities opened their gates. Nobles switched sides. The king fled. This wasn't military genius, it was political preparation. Isabella had spent years identifying who felt wronged, who wanted change, who could be persuaded. When she finally moved, the kingdom was already ready to abandon Edward. Edward was captured, forced to abdicate, and died in captivity under mysterious circumstances. Isabella ruled as regent for her son, Edward III. Chroniclers called her the she-wolf of France, meant as an insult. But wolves don't succeed through aggression alone. They succeed through patience, observation, and knowing exactly when to strike. Isabella's strategy reveals something crucial about medieval power. Loud opposition got you killed. Silent preparation got you a kingdom. The Kingdom of Jerusalem was arguably the most unstable realm in medieval history. Surrounded by enemies, filled with ambitious crusaders, and constantly short on resources, it should have collapsed within a generation. Melisende inherited this throne in 1131 and ruled for over 20 decades. Her secret? She understood that in chaos, competence becomes authority. Her father had arranged for her to rule jointly with her husband, Fulk of Anjou. Fulk, fresh from Europe, assumed joint rule meant he ruled while Melisende looked decorative. He was mistaken. Melisende didn't argue publicly, she simply began governing, issuing charters, making appointments, building alliances. When Fulk tried to assert dominance, he discovered that the kingdom's nobles already considered Melisende their real ruler. There was no dramatic confrontation. Fulk simply became less relevant with each passing month until he was essentially a ceremonial king. The real test came when her own son, Baldwin III, decided he wanted sole power. In 1152, he demanded that Melisende step aside. Her response was masterful. She didn't step aside. She took the cities of Jerusalem and Nablus and dared him to remove her by force. This created an impossible situation for Baldwin. Attacking his mother would make him look ungrateful and power-hungry. Waiting would make him look weak. He had to negotiate. The compromise they reached left Melisende with real authority and established her as someone who couldn't be pushed aside through impatience alone. What made Melisende effective wasn't drama, it was competence. She understood finances, managed church relations, balanced crusader factions, and kept the kingdom stable while more aggressive rulers launched failed military campaigns. In a place where most leaders governed through enthusiasm and religious fervor, Melisende governed through paperwork, diplomacy, and careful resource management. Her legacy proves something important. In unstable environments, stability itself becomes power. Urraca inherited León and Castile in 1109, a legitimate heir with an undeniable claim. Immediately, powerful nobles panicked. A woman ruling alone was unacceptable. The solution, they decided, was marriage. Force Urraca to marry Alfonso I of Aragon, let him rule, and the problem solves itself. Urraca had other ideas. Alfonso I expected to absorb Urraca's kingdom into his own. He styled himself emperor and began issuing decrees as though Urraca's realm was simply an expansion pack for Aragon. Urraca responded by declaring the marriage invalid and raising armies. What followed was years of civil war, not because Urraca was incompetent, but because she refused to disappear. Nobles switched sides, alliances shifted, cities rebelled and unrebelled. Through it all, Urraca kept fighting. Here's what's remarkable. Urraca didn't win through brilliant military tactics. She won through sheer refusal to quit. Every time her enemies thought they'd finally defeated her, she regrouped. Every time they thought they'd cornered her politically, she found new allies. Every time they expected her to surrender, she launched another campaign. This wasn't elegant, it wasn't clean, but it worked. Urraca ruled until her death in 1126, never overthrown, never forced aside, never erased. Her kingdom didn't prosper under constant warfare, but it survived. And survival, given the circumstances, was a radical achievement. Chroniclers condemned her as promiscuous, arrogant, and destructive. But notice what they don't say. They don't say she lost. Urraca's legacy is uncomfortable because it proves that power doesn't require perfection. Sometimes it just requires refusing to surrender legitimacy, no matter how many people demand it. Constance of Sicily terrified people without ever raising her voice. Born into Norman royalty, she married the Holy Roman Emperor Henry VI and inherited Sicily after his death. What made her dangerous wasn't cruelty, it was memory. While other rulers governed through spectacle, Constance governed through paperwork. She stripped rebellious nobles of land using legal mechanisms. She dismantled local power bases through administrative restructuring. She replaced chaos with bureaucracy. Everything she did was technically lawful, which meant opponents couldn't accuse her of tyranny without essentially admitting they preferred lawlessness. Constance presented herself as calm, restrained, and almost boring. This was deliberate. Medieval courts were full of dramatic personalities who overplayed their hands. Constance let them. While they argued loudly, she issued quiet decrees that slowly neutralized their power. By the time they noticed what had happened, they were no longer important. Constance's greatest achievement wasn't her own reign, it was securing Sicily intact for her son, Frederick II. By the time she died, Sicily was stable, administratively organized, and positioned to become one of Europe's most powerful realms. Frederick inherited not chaos requiring heroic intervention, but a functioning kingdom requiring competent management. Constance didn't leave behind stories of dramatic victories, she left behind structure. And structure in medieval politics often mattered more than glory. Eleanor of Aquitaine didn't just rule, she rewrote the political map of Europe through marriage, rebellion, and dynastic engineering. She inherited Aquitaine, married the King of France, went on crusade, annulled that marriage,
and immediately married the future King of England. This wasn't romance, this was geopolitical speed running. When her husband Henry II refused to share power, Eleanor did something extraordinary. She encouraged her children to rebel against him. This triggered the Great Revolt of 1173, a family civil war that forced Henry to chase his own children across Europe. Eleanor was captured and imprisoned for 16 years. But here's the key. Even in captivity, Eleanor remained influential. She corresponded, arranged marriages, and shaped policy from behind prison walls. Eleanor's true genius was marriage strategy. She positioned her children into nearly every major European royal house, ensuring that future generations would be haunted by her descendants. If medieval